My roommate kept borrowing my clothes without asking, so I switched them out with ugly thrift store finds. Hey Reddit, I need some advice on a situation with my roommate, Jane, 24F. I, 22F, recently moved in with her, and at first, things were great. We get along fine and have a pretty chill living situation. But there's one issue that's been driving me crazy lately. Jane keeps borrowing my clothes without asking, and it's becoming a major problem. It started off small. I would notice that my clothes were missing or that something I had just recently worn would be back in my closet, but it didn't seem like a huge deal at first. I figured maybe she had borrowed something without asking and just forgot to tell me. No biggie, right? But it kept happening. Over time, I started noticing that certain clothes of mine, especially my nicer items, would disappear regularly, only to be found later on Jane. When I'd ask her about it, she'd act totally casual. Like it was no big deal. She'd say things like, "Oh, I didn't think you'd mind," or, "I just wanted to try it on. I hope that's okay," or, "It's not like you wear it all the time." At first, I tried not to make a big deal of it because I didn't want to start drama, but the more it happened, the more annoyed I became. The tipping point came when I realized some of my favorite outfits were getting damaged. I noticed that some clothes were stretched out, others had small stains that weren't there before. And one of my tops had even been torn. I'm not sure if she wasn't being careful with them or if she just wasn't paying attention, but at this point, I couldn't ignore the issue anymore. I tried having a direct conversation with her about it. I explained how it was making me uncomfortable that she was taking my clothes without permission and how I would appreciate it if she could just ask before borrowing anything. She apologized and said she would be more mindful. But then it happened again, and this time it wasn't just a few small items, it was nearly half of my wardrobe. I'm getting to the point where I feel like she's completely ignoring my boundaries. I need advice. I'm seriously considering doing something a little petty, like swapping out all my good clothes with ugly thrift store finds to teach her a lesson. I feel like she needs to understand how frustrating it is to have someone help themselves to your things without asking. But I'm also worried this might escalate things or make the situation worse. Should I just let it go and put up with it, or should I stand my ground and try to teach her a lesson? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks in advance. Update. Okay. So I took some of your advice and decided to switch things up. After talking it over with a few friends and reading some of your comments, I thought to myself, what do I have to lose? So I went to a local thrift store and found the most hideous, outdated clothing I could find. We're talking neon-colored, ill-fitting dresses, oversized sweaters with crazy patterns, and pants that look like they belong in a 90s sitcom. I swapped out most of my nicer clothes for these ridiculous finds, hiding my actual clothes where Jane wouldn't be able to get to them. I thought this would at least give her a wake-up call, but Jane continued her usual routine of borrowing clothes, not realizing that I had replaced everything. She even wore some of the thrift store stuff, completely oblivious. The real kicker was when she wore one of the outfits, a bright, oversized, neon green sweater with mismatched pants, to a party we both attended. At the party, Jane made quite an impression. Everyone was staring at her, but not in the way she thought. People were genuinely laughing behind her back, and some even came up to me, asking why I let her wear something so out there. It was honestly a little hard to keep a straight face. Jane had no idea what was going on. She looked completely ridiculous, and I couldn't help but feel a bit smug about it. By the end of the night, I think she realized that something was off. She confronted me the moment we got home, demanding to know why my clothes had become so unfashionable. I kept acting like I had no clue what she was talking about, until finally, she admitted she had been taking my clothes without permission. She said she didn't understand why I was punishing her for wearing my clothes. Especially since she thought we were close enough for that. I told her that it wasn't about punishing her, it was about setting boundaries. If she had asked before taking my things, this whole situation could have been avoided. It's safe to say she didn't take it well, but at least she finally got the message. She apologized and promised not to take anything from my closet again. I don't know if I completely believe her, but at least she got some feedback from other people on her fashion choices. Final update. Okay, here's the final update on this whole mess. After the whole incident with Jane and the clothes, I realized that things weren't going to improve. It wasn't just the clothes issue, it was the fact that she repeatedly ignored my boundaries and didn't seem to care about the things I'd asked her to respect. So, I decided to move out. It wasn't an easy decision, but it was the right one. I started looking for a new place and found a roommate who I get along with really well. Her name is Leah, 25F. And she's incredibly respectful of my space and belongings. We've been living together for a few weeks now, and everything is going great. She doesn't take my clothes. And we actually talk through things when we have an issue. It's honestly a breath of fresh air. I just wanted to take a moment to thank everyone who gave me advice and offered support. It was really helpful to hear your perspectives, and honestly, I don't think I would have had the courage to handle this the way I did without the encouragement I got from you all. I've learned the value of setting clear boundaries from the start, and while the situation with Jane was frustrating, I'm glad I stood my ground. So, that's the end of the saga. Thanks again for all the advice, and I'm happy to say things are much better now. I'm finally able to enjoy my clothes and my space without worrying about them disappearing. You guys really helped me get through it all.